Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about episode 2 of Lookism. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So immediately picking up in the aftermath of last episode, Hyung Seok is enjoying, the fact is, everyone's looking at him like, oh my god, you're so great. One person in particular really latches onto him. All the girls are just blown away. I love that one girl puts on her glasses and he walks by and her glasses cracking. I love it. But then there's, I'm going to butcher her name. Was it Ha Nyeol? I'm probably butchering that. I can butcher the hell out of a Japanese name, but I'm horrendous when it comes to Korean names in particular. So I do apologize. But obviously, Jin Seong does not like all this because his girlfriend, he's interpreting everything as Mijin, I believe might be her name, which I don't remember her from the webtoon at all. Maybe once again, it's been a long time, but I feel like I don't remember her character at all. Ha Yo, I feel like I remember, but maybe not. Cause I don't know how many, because there's always adaptations can always add characters and do their own thing with it. But I'm because even the last episode when he got beat up in front of everybody by Jin Seong, I don't feel like I remember that either. But once again, my memory is terrible. And like I said, it's been so long since I've read Lookism. But anyway, putting all those tangents aside, for him, it's this is the guy that beat me up and kind of humiliated me. And this guy's just getting more and more furious because he sees his girlfriend looking at him at Hyung Seok, and that doesn't sit well with him. So, and, I even love that moment early on when he had it with, Ha Nyeol. It's they're in the cafeteria. I'd actually completely forgotten about the different sects. The fashion design sector or this sector. I forgot that they're this school was built around that. The cliques are based on what class you're going to. Obviously, Hyung Seok is in a fashion design class. The only reason why he got into it because it was the best fit because of his grades, but also his attendance made it. So that's why he transferred here. And I love that it's now I get to enjoy food without having to I only have to pay for one meal. I have to pick up my food and no one else's. I don't have to shuttle anyone else's food. And Neo was huh? And he's huh? And it's huh? Back and forth. And he's just I'm saying this school is great. So I love that. And also I love that one girl who walked up to him was oh my god, I want to take a picture with him because it's he's a celebrity. And then Han Yo kind of bashed her aside. But the problem is he got too excited and he was testing out the limitations of his body yesterday, and he kind of ran his body down and he fell asleep in class because he has learned that the big Hyung Seok body is not only slimmer and it's definitely a lot more fit, it's stronger, it's faster. He feels so much lighter in that body. But the problem is he went overboard. So when he fell asleep, he woke up in his own body again, and it's I need to go back to sleep. Luckily, there is a little bit of he has to be, one body has to be asleep so the other one can, but I do love that Newell ended up waking him up. So it's I can't wake myself up. I mean, he can, obviously he did it before, but in those circumstances, it's he can't just force himself to wake up. He needs someone to literally wake his body up. So it happened. So it worked out in that regard. And obviously the dual life thing that is something I do distinctly remember, that his original body, small Hyung Seok, gets a job at the at that convenience store. And I love that he came in as, big Hyung Seok, and the guy was oh my god, this guy's so handsome, I'm gonna get all these female customers, I'm gonna make so much money. He's oh, what kind of job, when do you want to start? Can you start now? I'll pay you a handsome amount. He's no, the job's not for me, it's for my friend. And the moment he saw the smaller Hyung Seok, I was I'm not gonna hire you unless you know all your brands of cigarettes, which he's oh, I know this, and this. It's oh man, that's the effed up thing about this show is yes, he was bullied, so his experiences as being bullied end up being beneficial in this regard. It's him knowing this brands of cigarettes is all right, fine, I'll give you this job. Because it shows that you are knowledgeable, you might not have the experience, but he needs this to, hey, I need to pay for my fees, like, staying where I'm staying, but also everything related to school. Also need to buy food, not for just one person, so two people as well. So, and lo and behold, some guys from his school run in there. They're trying to like buy cigarettes. It's like, but you're not old enough. This fake ID does not look anything like you. And then lo and behold, who has to walk in? Jin Seong, and he gets upset because he notices, like, right, you have the same name as the guy I hate from school that Mijin is just paying all this attention to. So all that aggravation he took out on him, and ends up, they ended up pantsing him and taking a picture of him with his dick out and being like, yeah, we'll put this all over the internet. And for him, it's just like, right, he was hoping that, now that he had this new body, he was feeling himself, he was like, yes, this is my new life. And then it's just like, in this moment, it's like, right, I'm back to being in this situation again. It's just like, every time I feel like, sadly for Park Hyung-seok, it's like, every time he takes a step forward, it feels like he gets knocked 2 steps back by someone else, and his mom's calling, and he doesn't know. I think it's a while before he finds out how hard his mom's pushing herself. She's working so hard because it's like, right, like, because he didn't want to tell her the truth about what was going on. And when she tried to help him out at school, he badmouthed her and told her to leave him alone because he's like, right, you being here is going to embarrass me even more. But even he, despite all that, does know, because he was even about to say, like, wait, you're not actually still working hard. And she hung up the phone, but it's like, yeah, she's doing everything she can to support her son. And it's like, for him, I think it will eventually, if I remember correctly, it does hit him being like, wow, my mom did, like, I lash out at her, I took all this out on her, but it wasn't her fault. She's just trying to do the best she can for me. So, yeah, because in the first episode, you're like, he seems so nasty and ungrateful. It's like, once again, he feels like he has to lash out at her because he feels so weak in every other aspect of his life, and his mom showing up to fight his battles for him is just going to make it worse on him. So when he ultimately does go to school the next day, what happens is Jin Seong is going to show off the picture they took of his smaller body and like what they did to him, and it just pisses him off the way they're talking about not only him but his mom, because even he recognizes, it's like, don't talk about my mom like that. She's done everything for me. Like, you want to take everything out on, take it out on me. Don't drag my mom into it. And he was even saying like, yo, don't do that. And all Jin can focus on is like, hey, my girl is looking at him, so like Mijin is looking at him, is like, nah, screw this guy, and prepares to fight him. But luckily, I'm blanking on his name, it's set in the episode, but blonde haired dude, which I was like, oh man, I remember you, because I remember like he takes a major interest in Hyung-seok. So, but Jin Seong and him tussle, and once again, those experiences of like, yes, my experiences as being bullied work out in his favor. Like, because I gotten punched and beaten up so much, I could always see the fist coming. I just didn't have the reflexes to react. Now with a lighter body, like, he's able to, defend himself, and he's just dodging all this left and right until he gets put into a corner and he blocks it. But they're like, oh my god, look at him, he's so cool. And Jin Seok's like, oh my god, he's a street fighter. And on the inside, he's like, oh my god, like, what the hell just happened? So, but he took all those experiences of what he learned as a book from being bullied, and he applied them in this case because he now has the body necessary to apply all that he knows, and he took Jin Seong down with a hit. Mijin is kind of disappointed in the whole situation all around. Jin Seong just upset because it's like, right, I was embarrassed in front of my girlfriend, and it's just like, right. I mean, once again, it's his fault. For being a complete and utter dick. He's in the wrong in this case, and you have every right to be embarrassed. But then we find out, like, yo, the other head honchos from the other classes are like, yo, we found out about him. And I don't remember the guy's name. The guy who's basically small, who's basically the equivalency to a small Hyung-seok, a guy that's getting bullied. He's kind of their shuttle, And they're all, both him and Vasco. I definitely, like, the moment he was like, oh, this guy's prettier than me or something, I was like, are you about to start crying? And he does. I was like, yeah, I remember that being your thing. It's like, yeah, I think that's Vasco. I was like, I'd forgotten about that until like a little before it happened. I was like, right, your shtick is like you start crying for no reason. I forgot about that. And now he's got like 2 other big shots in the school, like, aiming for his head now. So, life isn't as easy as he was kind of hoping it was going to be. Now it's like, right, he's kind of put an even bigger target on his back now because of this. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. Well, kind of already know from a little bit I remember, but still. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.